Hello there, welcome along to Hungary and welcome along to the latest instalment in the Yamaha R3 BLU CRU World Cup of 2025. One challenge is getting your breath back when you've just run across the paddock, having commentated on the Superbike and Super Sport races. And we've already seen that Balaton Park has given us some absolutely tremendous action. Looking then across turn 11, 28 degrees Celsius air temperature, track 38. And Alex Di Persio is on pole position for the second time in as many rounds and the third time overall. There is Di Persio, number 69, making his way down towards the end of the warm-up lap here. This all-new track for about 1 hour southwest of Budapest, the beautiful Hungarian capital city. Greg Haynes with you in the commentary box. And I think we've all just about got our breath back now as we get ready to line up on the grid here at Balaton Park. You've already seen the grid. Di Persio is your championship leader. He's leading Chris Clark by 27 points. We've got some wild cards as well competing here this weekend. That's going to spice up the action. Here, though, is the championship situation, and they need to get through turn 1 cleanly. We have seen incidents in earlier races here. Here we go then, it's an absolutely crucial point in the championship now for the BLU CRU. Let's see what Di Persio can do. Pastore alongside him from Kugawa. Then it's Arai Agaska. Hopefully he can keep himself out of trouble on this occasion. David Novak 5th from Okanuki. Okanuki though, one of 2 riders with a penalty for this race. 10 laps in front of us for the BLU CRU now. And the R3 World Cup is racing for the first time ever in Hungary, and almost a touch already as Kugawa goes down the outside line. Pastore trying to crowd him out. Di Persio's got the lead. David Novak, number 46, has a look at the inside, down into turn 1. All through cleanly so far, that's excellent news. Di Persio doing what he really needed and wanted to do. And he's got the lead as we fly up through the gearbox now. Second, third, they'll hit 4th by the time they get to the end of the back straight. This is turn 4. Oh, and running wide and off into the gravel as we get out of turn 4 and down to 5. I hope they all manage to survive that. But David Novak has fallen back now as a result, and that would have been very, very close there with that rider rejoining. There is Agaska, but that was David Novak, I believe, who dropped his bike into the dirt and the gravel on the outside of turn 4. Di Persio leads. Then it is Kugawa, who was a winner at Donington last time out. Agaska from Indonesia. He's being passed by Kugawa. Up into the turn 9, 10 chicane. It's a left and a right. Up into turn 11 now, where we have the long lap penalty lane at the bottom of your screen. On the outside, Novak did well to keep going. And he's still, amazingly, the Polish rider in 9th place. One of 3 chicanes on the track. This now is 12 and 13. The car racing track runs around the outside through 14. And a really quick run now down to the final right-left flick at the end of the lap. 15 and 16. There goes Agaska. Very, very quick, very, very capable, but too many final lap incidents so far this year. Where is Okanuki? That is the question, because he does need to take 2 long lap penalties. He's in 7th place at the moment. But Kakeru was held responsible for the last lap antics of Donington Park last time out. There goes Chris Clark, the American. Dives up the inside of Pastore and goes through and takes that 4th place. Chris has been at a disadvantage to an extent this year because he's had to learn a lot of these tracks for the first time, despite a few outings in the past in World Super Sport 300. Let's see if anybody makes a move down into 5. De Percio still with the advantage. We've said this time and time again. There is no point in getting too excited early doors in the race. We've seen plenty of races lost in the past through unnecessary incidents early doors. This is only lap 2 of 10 here, and your order is De Percio from Italy, Agaska from Indonesia, Kugawa, the Japanese rider, in 3rd place. Then it's America's Chris Clark. Pastore, the Italian, is down to 5th place. Charlie Mendes, number 6 from the Dominican Republic, is up into 6th position. Okanuki taking the first long lap penalty. Oh, and somebody crashes immediately in front of him as he rejoins. Goodness me, that could have been a very scary moment there. Gene Turner out of the race. What misfortune for the half Japanese, half Kiwi rider. But the big fortune is that he crashed, thankfully, in front of Okanuki, because the Japanese rider could have been wiped out there. So one Japanese down, the other continues. And there is the end of the incident. And look at Okanuki, number 31, who would have had to roll off the throttle there, I'm sure, through pure instinct. And also Christoph Barter has taken one of 2 long lap penalties that he's been given as well for boisterous tactics earlier on in the weekend. Christoph Barter, a new name, the 15-year-old Hungarian rider with a BRR team, making his debut in the World Cup this weekend. There's Charlie Mendes. Look out for Aimon Boccanegra. Boccanegra with the Ayrton Senna crash helmet design. There he is. Senna, of course, 3-time Formula 1 world champion with McLaren. 1988, 1990 and 1991. And Aimon Boccanegra, who is half Brazilian, half Peruvian, but born and bred in Barcelona in Spain, is now challenging Pastore for 6th place. Now, are we going to see Agaska having a go at De Percio? I know one of Alex's worries is always getting tangled up in incidents that are not his fault, and we've seen quite a few of those already this season. Kugawa trying to go with them. Tepai Kugawa won race 1 at Donington last time out, involved in a final lap incident in the 2nd and scored only 1 point for 15th place, and that's the key. De Percio has been the most consistent. Now there is Mendes, number 6 on the inside line. Pastore with the all-white crash helmet, number 55. Boccanegra has managed to get between them. Super Mario Salles, who won earlier in the year, is in 8th place. From Salvatore Germano and David Novak. Novak was in the gravel, though, earlier on in the race and dropped down from fighting for a podium to 10th. It was an amazing save for Novak, and very similar to what he did in Barcelona at the start of last year. Okanuki is 11th after the long lap penalty situation. Palmowski, number 98, that's Max from Poland. He is 12th at the moment from Andrea Mottler, Troy Savitzer and Indy Sunsalar, the Dutch rider, in 15th place. And it's Danny Krabacher, number 81. He's from Austria. He's 16th. Barter, number 12, the Hungarian debutant, is 17th. And got another newcomer as well, the number 30 from Romania, Dragos Petra Dumitru. He's running still in 18th position, but for the first time in the race, as you can see for yourself, we've got a change going on at the front of the field as Arai Agaska from Indonesia hits the front now. Now it's De Percio's turn to survey the situation. Not for long, he's attacking. He's attacking, he's through. De Percio retakes the lead on lap 4. There's a lot of marbles there on the outside of the corner. That's bits of rubber and debris that have been flicked from the bike. Some are almost 3 abreast down the long back straights. Kugawa thinks better of that, and De Percio uses the slipstream combined with his great exit from the previous corner to move back in front of Arai Agaska, named Arai after the world-famous helmet manufacturers. You can tell his dad's a racing fan, can't you? Arai, number 38, who was born in 2008, but he's absolutely desperate to win for the first time. This is the second half of the season now. 6 races down, 6 to go, including this one. And Agaska does not want to have to wait until Aragon in September or Estoril in October to celebrate his first win. That was Mario Salles, the Brazilian. Now we're coming through the left-hander of turn 14. I think Danny Krabacher has had a problem. He's trailing along on his own at the moment, half a lap behind. So the Austrians obviously hit trouble earlier on in this race. For those messaging in about being out of breath, that is absolutely correct, having run across the paddock earlier on to get here, thankfully just in time for the start. And there's a big group now fighting for fourth place, consisting of 6 riders. But what about the group fighting for first place? DePercio on the right, Kugawa on the left, Agaska in the middle. And we look back now because Chris Clark is under attack. Chris Clark is very much under attack. Mendes has come out on top. Charlie Mendes from the Dominican Republic, born in Barcelona, is up into 4th place. There he is, number 6. There's Boccanegra with the Senna helmet, 23. What can Chris Clark do? Remember, Chris Clark won the first race of the year back at Portimao in Portugal and was leading the World Championship momentarily. And Boccanegra behind is gesticulating, he's pointing at his helmet and telling people to calm down. Let's follow the others as Arai Agaska, and I know YouTube is going mad with our live comments, hits the front. That was funny to see from Imon Boccanegra there in the background. Boccanegra with that Senna crash helmet, who's working so hard with Yamaha Brazil. The likes of Alan, who works there, that's Alan Douglas from Yamaha Brazil, and the whole AD78 initiative over there. We've seen the likes of Kevin Fontana involved in that too, in the World Supersport 300 World Championship, and also the Kawakami brothers. There's one of those long lap penalties being completed. Seems quite late in the race though. Well, no, we're okay because this is lap 4 of 10 as I look at our timing screen, so that's good now for Okanuki. He can try and get his head down and catch the rest of the pack. But meantime, Pastore muscles his way back in front of Chris Clark. But this fight's going on for 4th place, and they're losing ground because they're nearly 2 seconds now behind your leading trio here. There's DePercio, number 69, from Pescara. Born in Chieti Hospital. But you can't say that Alex DePercio is from Chieti because there's a big rivalry between Chieti and Pescara. He has grown up and lives in Pescara. There goes Kugawa from Tokyo in Japan. And of course, we'll have the legendary Suzuka 8 Hour taking place next weekend. That's Boccanegra running wide, coming out of turn 1. Defending here, this 4th position. Salas has a go. Delighted that, look, Boccanegra's doing it again. Get behind me, follow me. Let's try and catch the leading group. There they are, they're 1.4 seconds up the road, and probably the only way they are going to catch them with the configuration of this track is to tow their way up to that leading trio. Out of 5, 6, 7 and 8 is an absolutely rapid couple of right-handers. Here they are. I can tell you now that we're on to lap 6 of 10. 5 laps to go. This is the halfway point of the race. DePercio leads Agaska and Kugawa. Chris Clark is 3 seconds behind. Look in the background, there he is in that 4th place. Behind Chris Clark is Pastore, Boccanegra, Sales, Mendes, Novak and Germano. Okanuki, after 2 long lap penalties for causing the last lap crash at Donington, is 11th. Motola, Palmowski, Savitsa and Sunsolar completing your top 15. Almost impossible that one of these riders will pull away and stretch out a big lead. If you are joining us for the first time, these are all identical bikes here. The Yamaha R3, which we first saw on the world stage when the 300 World Championship commenced in the 2017 year. And further changes have been made for this season as well to make things even more equal. Chassis measurements all fixed and equal for all riders. That means they can only now adjust the front and rear suspension springs. It's all in the name of fairer competition, and it's 1 technician this year for every 2 riders. And that means that the riders trying to fund their young racing careers no longer need to bring their own technical crew to the race events. New licence system has been put into place as well, with penalty points that could be given out, and these would be additional penalty points from Yamaha if necessary. It just means it's going to try and calm things down a bit after the dramatic multiple collisions we've had on last laps of races over the last couple of rounds at Misano and then Donington Park. And that's the important thing to stress now, as Depercio just edges out Agasca. This new penalty point system from Yamaha, it is all in the context of preparing the riders for World Championship level racing, and some of them might even be in the World Championship next year. If they can move up to what would be, of course, World Supersport 300, it will then be the sport bike category coming in next year, in which we'll see the Yamaha R7 already used in this paddock for World WCR, the women's circuit racing series that started earlier on in 2024, into its second season now. Boccanegra was getting annoyed again, wasn't he, just a moment ago? He can see that chance of victory now diminishing, because that's a 4-second gap between third and fourth places. So let's just settle down now as we come towards the end of lap 7. Just 3 to go here as the second half of the season begins for the World Cup in 2025. Towards us, Depercio, number 69, 18 years old, from Pescara in Italy. Number 26 is Tepai Kugawa, 17, from Tokyo in Japan, taking the lead. And then they are both demoted by Arai Agasca, the 17-year-old from Mataram in Indonesia. And we have been loving all of your comments and suggestions on the Yamaha Racing YouTube page, where you can follow us here in commentary with live comments through the races. And there is an enormous following for Agasca, just a slight shake of the head there for Arai as he comes down towards turn 5 on this final lap. And that's why he was shaking his head. Look at the disadvantage already. He went into the straight in the lead and is already third by the time they get to the braking zone for turn 5. The gear ratios are locked, but they can adjust the sprockets. Side by side here. That's that second group. That was Sales, Boccanegra, but that was Chris Clark there trying to get up the outside, and the inside then of Emanuele Pastore. Pastore, who won the super finale at Estoril in Portugal towards the end of last year. Just 2 laps to go at the end of this one. Kugawa finally broke his duck with victory in race 1 at Donington 2 weeks ago. Depercio, number 69, 3 times a winner already this year, and that's more than anybody else. Arai Agasca probably wants it the most, because he's yet to win in 2025, but has finished on the podium twice already, the Indonesian, including in his very first race when he was 3rd at Portimao, and then he was 2nd at Misano. The pace, though, very hot at the front. They're still lapping quicker than the rest of the field, with the second group now 5 seconds behind. So, penultimate lap. Ordinarily, I would say at this point that if I had to put money on it, I'd go for Depercio, but it's impossible to predict in the R3 World Cup. Alex looks up the inside of turn 4 and goes through. That's at least twice he's made that move in this race. Kugawa bumping along those red and white painted curbs on the outside of turn 4. Alex Depercio looks to his right. That is incredible from Kugawa. The way he's geared that bike and the way he's getting off turn 4, he's absolutely shooting up past them on that run down the straight. It looks as though Kugawa is the quickest down the straight, Agasca the slowest of the 3. Depercio still in that second place. What's happening behind? Boccanegra has now muscled his way back up into 4th, ahead of Chris Clark. Depercio is leading Chris Clark by 27 points in the championship coming into this race. All of these riders have been very, very busy with promotional activities for Yamaha and the paddock show as well, which is very much part of the paddock here in World SBK, getting their names out there, improving their language skills as well for all of the various media commitments. And that's what the Blue Crew is all about. It's not just about progression up the racing ladder. It's media training at the same time. Hold your breath then, because we're coming through to the final lap now here at Balaton. And this new circuit, designed by the same architects as the Hungaroring just outside Budapest. And I know the Espeleta family, in collaboration with the governing body, the FIM, have had a big say as well in the layout here, with MotoGP coming a month from now. This is the World Superbike weekend though. Hold your breath, because this is the final lap of the first ever race in Hungary for the Yamaha R3 Blue CRU World Cup. And De Percio has a big moment on the front end. Championship leader Alex De Percio from Pescara in Italy, 18 years old, 3 times a winner from the 6 races so far. But he's lost a few bike lengths now to Tepai Kugawa. Kugawa usually gets a good exit off this corner. He doesn't have the advantage this time of the slipstream, but despite that, he still has aced it and keeps the lead. Up into second place now goes Arai Agaska. Twice on the podium already this season. Can he win for the first time? There's De Percio. 5 podiums from 6 races this year. Every time he finishes, he's on the podium. Kugawa retakes the lead. Left, right. But there's 2 more chicanes still to come. This is turn 11, the hairpin. We've now got to run down to the chicane of 12 and 13. And then the last chicane at 16 and 17. But on these bikes, it could be possible to overtake into turn 17, the very last corner. Kugawa leading 4th in the championship coming into this race. Agaska 5th in the championship. Are we going to get another new winner? We've already had 4 different winners so far this season. Agaska's attacking on the inside. De Percio on the outside. Kugawa in the middle. Agaska goes through. And Arai Agaska's only 1 corner away from victory here. Kugawa has his nose chopped off by Alessandro De Percio. And now it's the run to the line. Indonesia's going to go mad. Agaska starts celebrating before he even crosses the line. Arai Agaska is a winner in the R3 World Cup. The Blue CRU goes mad again with our 5th different winner from 7 races at the start of the 25 season, and just 23 thousandths of a second. We can see your YouTube comments streaming in, because Arai Agaska wins for the very first time, and this is a man with a big future ahead of him. What a race that was, and that was the 7th closest finish in 55 races of the R3 World Cup, back to the beginning of that first season in 2021. Agaska winning there by just 23 thousandths of a second. De Percio in second place. Agaska, it's been a long time coming. He has looked like a sensation since the very first race of the year back in Portugal. And we know how enormous the motorcycle market is over in Indonesia, which has for the first time hosted up the long box circuit, MotoGP and Superbikes in recent years. And Arai Agaska here in Hungary on Saturday, July the 26th, 2025, is a winner for the first time in the Blue CRU R3 World Cup. And he thoroughly, thoroughly deserves it. Imon Boccanegra had a very good run there, up 7 positions after some trouble in qualifying yesterday. And so he charges up from 11th on the grid to 4th. Kugawa did well there, another podium. You can hear people skidding as they lock their rear brakes, celebrating with the marshals, who've had a pretty busy day, it has to be said. The hallmark scrape marks on the ground there from some of the incidents we've seen in the earlier Superbike and Super Sport races. Agaska wins, De Percio second, Kugawa third. Boccanegra was 4th from Chris Clark. So that means now that De Percio's championship lead has just increased by a pretty sizable margin of 9. It goes up from 27 to 36 points ahead of race 2 here on Sunday. So that's a good lead for De Percio at this point in the proceedings. Big screens there around the track, surveying the action, and that's the short line for Okanuki. That's the short line for Agaska. And I have to say, with everybody having a stern talking to after the drama of Donington and Misano at the last 2 rounds, every single one of the 19 riders who started finished this race. So clearly the introduction of the new penalty point system, and just I think the general respect of the riders is paying off as we get a little bit of aura farming from Agaska. Of course, that's a TikTok trend which originated in his part of the world. And I can say, of course, as 35-year-old Gregory Haynes, I'm very much into my TikTok trends. And I know the likes of Ian Wheeler at Yamaha is another man who is often seen doing the aura farming dance movement as he makes his way around the motorcycle paddocks of the world. Into the pit lane we go. That was a nice little bit of aura farming, I've got to say, from Agaska. I think it was certainly better than what Dennis Unju did at the Sachsenring with the German Grand Prix a couple of MotoGP rounds ago. And of course, we've seen Marc Marquez doing it, Toprak Razgatlioglu as well last time out at Donington Park in the Superbike class. FIM officials congratulating our latest winner. And this man, the 17-year-old from Indonesia, has a big, big future in front of him, looking to follow in the footsteps of Indonesia's first ever motorcycle racing world champion, Aldi Mahendra, who, of course, has come through this very class in the past. And Mahendra, indeed, along with Gustavo Manso, actually holds the record for wins in this R3 World Cup. At least he did, coming into the start of last season on 5 wins before it was replaced by the new record of Mark Vick, last year's champion, who is now 7 times a winner. Into Parc Ferme. What a season, though, we are having. De Percio is actually the only rider who's won more than once this year. Chris Clark won the first race back in Portugal, and then we saw the success in the second one for Mario Salas, so America and Brazil. And then we went off to Misano, where it was a great double for De Percio at home. Race 1 at Donington was Kugawa for Japan. Then De Percio again, and now Indonesia winning. First Indonesian rider to win a race this year. And that moves Arai up into a stronger 5th place in the championship, because he was 11 points behind 4th. And now he is only 2 points behind 4th, and not just 4th, he's actually 2 points behind 3rd, because Kugawa and Sales are now on equal points in the R3 World Cup. Ollie Rushby is down there, and he will be chatting with Arai Agaska in just a moment. Look how close that was. The 7th closest finish then, 23 thousandths of a second, and less than 1/10 back to Tepai Kugawa in 3rd position. I think what the second group will want to do tomorrow, assuming we have a second group, is work better together, because there was nothing they could do there to catch those ahead. They were 1 second behind, 2 seconds behind, and they ended up 7 seconds behind as Boccanegra won that particular fight. Alex De Percio, he's doing what he needs to do, isn't he, to win a championship. If he finishes a race this year, he's never lower than 2nd. You saw Nicolo Canepa there from Yamaha. But this is great, great news for everybody at Yamaha Indonesia in terms of your winner, Arai Agaska. And well done as well to Kugawa. Another podium for him off the back of that win he had at Donington 2 weeks ago. Because I said so. This is all part of the procedure as well now for the riders. Live television interviews, and we're about to see the first ever live television interview for Arai Agaska in English. The 17-year-old from Mataram winning here. A very, very sensible ride. And Arai now is with Ollie Rushby.
Arai Agaska, your first win in the FIM Yamaha R3 BLU CRU World Cup. Congratulations, how does that feel?
Yeah, for my first, I want to say Alhamdulillah and thank you for Yamaha Racing Indonesia. Thank you for Niti Racing, ProGP, and thank you my parents in Indonesia, in Lombok. Thank you. Tomorrow will be better.
Congratulations.
Well, he says tomorrow will be better. I don't know how we can go much better. We just won the race.
Arai Agaska, tomorrow will be better. You've already won. Up into the lead he goes, passing De Percio passing Kugawa. That was such a strong move. Did you see how he released his fingers on his right hand there? That's the front brake. He was on the brake. He let off the front brake to carry some more speed down into turn 16, covered off the Percio beautifully, and he was already celebrating. Maybe just a little bit premature there, Arai. Maybe that's the one thing you could improve. There's the aura farming, but that was a 23,000th of a second victory. It's good he didn't start celebrating any sooner, because the Percio would have just passed him there.
Very much indeed. It's a lot longer than just mine, which is speaker. So there you go. Very nice to meet you, sir. Thank you for being with us to present.
So up onto the podium we shall come, and Kugawa is number 26 on the roster, and then for the third time from 7 races. The Percio, as I've said already, 6th podium from 7 races, and even the one he didn't get a podium and he was taken out, it wasn't his fault and could well have won that one. So the Percio by far the most consistent rider so far, and for Agaska it's podium number 3, following his 3rd place in race 1 in Portugal, his 2nd place in race 1 at Misano, and now his 1st place in race 1 here in Hungary. So all 3 steps on the podium have been occupied by Agaska already this season. I don't think the Percio is going to be too upset. He did start on pole position. It was his 3rd pole in total after Manicourt last year and Donington only a fortnight ago. Here comes Tepai Kugawa.
In 2nd place, the championship leader, Alessandro De Percio.
De Percio in that 2nd position, and Arai Agaska. I think YouTube's going to break in a moment if you guys keep sending in all of those comments. You've gone mad there. Thank you for joining us here with the R3 World Cup, and we will have now the national anthem for Indonesia in just a moment. And don't forget, same time tomorrow, 4:15 local time. Actually, it should be a little bit earlier because today's race was delayed by nearly half an hour because of a red flag earlier on in World Superbike. So check your schedules, check the World Superbike website, worldsbk.com. But it's 4:15 local time. So 23 hours from now we'll be underway with race 2 here on Sunday from Balaton Park. And I can tell you the weather forecast is bad. It's almost certainly going to be a wet race tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if Arai Agaska and Tepai Kugawa go well in the rain, because Japanese and Indonesian riders usually do. Here we go then, it's the moment you've been waiting for in Indonesia, your national anthem.
Congratulations to the top 3. You can ask Alessandro and Tepai, please. Come over with Arai on the top step. We're going to get a photograph of all of you guys together.
Let me just take you through the top 9 fastest laps as well, which determine the grid for tomorrow's race. And I can tell you, less than 1/10 of a second covering the top 5 riders' fastest laps, and only 4/1000ths of a second between the top 2. Boccanegra, Okanuki, Mendes. What a front row that's going to be tomorrow. Boccanegra, Okanuki, Mendes, 1, 2, 3. Mottala, De Percio, the championship leader, and today's winner, Agaska, will be on row 2. Then Kugawa, Savica did well, and so did Sales. They'll be on row 3 for tomorrow's race. Arai Agaska then wins for the first time, and we have had a selection of different winners already. From 7 races, we've had 5 winners this year. De Percio second from Kugawa, and Boccanegra was best of the rest, with Chris Clark limiting the damage as much as possible in 5th. Okanuki did well, 8th despite 2 long lap penalties, with Sun Solar picking up the final point, and Gene Turner got back into the action after that crash earlier on. Championship with now only 5 races to go. That's a lead of 36 points for De Percio over Chris Clark. Look how close it is though. 3 points covering Kugawa, Sales and Agaska for 3rd, 4th and 5th. Ivan Spada, looking forward to seeing Ivan back in action when we get to the Aragon round next time out at the end of September. 22 riders with points on the board so far. Well, there you are. What a dramatic start to the weekend. What a dramatic start to the proceedings for Hungary's Balaton Park. Umbrellas will be out, I'm sure, for rain on Sunday. But a big moment in the motorcycle racing career of number 38. 17-year-old Arai Agaska from Mataram in Indonesia comes good at last, and he is a winner here in the first Hungarian race for the R3 World Cup. We'll be back for more with race 2 on Sunday. See you then.